She is an entrepreneur with a boutique business and non-profit called Code Red Ministries. She's trained with the Maxwell leadership team and Dr. Rahm of Personality Insights with the DISC program. DISC is a popular framework to understand personality traits. And in today's episode, let us chat with Valerie Howe about various personality traits with regard to DISC framework. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a Better Future. Friends, I am your host Navin Samala, just a fellow IT professional, but on a mission to shape the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And through the Guiding Voice, we drive conversations that matter, conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Successful leaders across the globe share their knowledge and wisdom with our audience so that our audience will acquire more knowledge by tuning into our podcast for every minute than any other podcast in this space. Thank you so much for joining me. And we are extremely pleased to have Valerie part of our show. Very hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice, and I'm super excited to have you part of today's episode.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's nice to be here. And thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you, Valerie, and let's get started. Maybe you can briefly share your career journey with our audience so that they get to know your background.
Okay, I have kind of a dual thing going on because I have the Code Red Ministries, which is a nonprofit. I speak and write for Christian groups. And basically that just means that I'm going to different places speaking. And I also have radio shows. And so these radio shows are small segments every day, 5 days a week. I've got about 75 stations now, which thank you God for that. And the 75 stations broadcast this 90-second snippet. And we are seeing people even across the world being able to see it when it's live streamed. So that's an amazing thing. That just started, and I think I've been doing that maybe close to 10 years now. And it's just amazing how many people listen to radio and podcast and live streaming and all that. And then what I do is I speak probably about 27 times a year to groups. But what we've done is taken the snippets, made them into devotional books. And so I also have it out that way, and love to do that. And then the career journey really started about 30 years ago, and a kind of a fluke thing happened. They needed a story on mentoring, and I had done it because I was training to speak. But this is funny because I think everybody ought to know this. When I started to train to speak, when I really felt like God was calling me to do it, I went to a training with these people, and I had 45 pages of material for a 45-minute talk. I mean, it was just it's so funny to think about now. And they were like, oh my gosh, you could write a book, you know? And so what happened was, because I had done all that preparation, it ended up that somebody needed it in a book, and I was able to publish it. So it was just crazy how that kind of went. And then that way it started the speaking, led to the radio shows years later, that kind of thing. And at that time I'll tell you that later, but anyway. And so the other part of it is, then my daughter is in fashion design. I stayed home for 22 years. I have 5 kids, and we started some pop-up shops. And at my age, I said, I'm done with pop-up shops because I don't want to move that stuff in and out. Let's just open up something. And we opened up this boutique, and some people couldn't open up, so don't be jealous of me. But at May the 4th, 2021, we opened our store. We'd opened for a brief period someplace else, but then COVID hit. And so we couldn't do it. So in 2021, we opened up May 4th. Would that be right? Yeah, because you couldn't open in 2020. So anyway, the bottom line is, it may have, now I'm thinking about that, it may have been May 4th, 2020. But when we could open up, that's the point. We did. And I think people were so tired of being indoors that it was like, we don't care what we buy, we're going to buy anything. And so that's kind of how our career started, and we've expanded now. We opened pop-up shops in 2019. We now have 4 times the space that we had. And people they like coming in our store because it's home. And I think that that's the big issue, is if you can make it home. So that's kind of my dual career. So the speaking has to be gauged with that. But my daughter, she actually does everything behind the scenes. So this is good, like the buying, the all the taxes and all those kind of things. She does all of that, and that's the part she likes. And she does have her degree in fashion design and merchandising, so that helps us a lot. And then so she actually has another job, and then I run the store on a daily basis, and I love the sales part. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. So how's that?
It's great, quite exciting, and yeah, you never know what kind of career is in for us, and sometimes we have to go by the flow. And I can see, like, you initially started skeptically, but you are able to pull it off, and right now your store size is expanded 4 times. And one thing what I like the most is your customers feel like home, right? If you can offer
Yes.
that kind of experience to the customer, that nothing more than that. Nothing more than that.
Yes.
Moving to the next one. In your 30 years of your professional life, right? What are some top three things that help you to be successful?
Well, one is I just I wait. God has shown me what to do, and you just wait on him to see what he wants to do. The second thing would be that there are some things that you have to do to be consistent. You have to keep looking at your goals. And I'm even finding that, I'm going to be 60 this year, and you're still having to be consistent. You've got to stay with it. Like, for instance, I've written 1,000 radio shows, I think it is now. And so, but what to do with those. So in other words, putting them into books, things like that. Think about what you have and use that. Secondly, the whole thing is about adding value to other people. If you can remember that, especially as a speaker, that's huge. Am I adding value to my audience? Because you won't be asked to speak if you don't. And secondly, if I don't, I'm just, as they would say in America, whistling Dixie. I would just be spinning my wheels to speak and not have any value added to my audience. So it's so much more fun to see people go, and you know that you're doing something that helps them, so incredible. And so that'd be the third thing. I want to help people. I want them to leave my store or my presence at any time going, hey, she's got something to offer me that's going to help me in my life. And I saw your started the episode on being kind to other people. And the first guy that you interviewed, unbelievable, because it's exactly it. When a person walks out of our store, and we had this happen recently, and this woman had just had a baby, and she didn't like the size she was in. But anyway, we never tell a customer a lie. We don't tell them they look good in something if they don't. Her friend loved the outfit, but I realized, okay, what can we do to help this out? And I went and got her a jacket that actually was a smaller size, but it was kind of oversized. So for her, being in a smaller size was just amazing. But she was going on this trip, ended up, it was her birthday. She was happy. We were happy. And so when we walked out, I have a new worker, and she goes, Valerie, I get it. It's not just about selling clothes, because we were all happy. I was like, exactly. And so that is, that's it. That is the top of everything you do. When somebody walks out and you have helped them, there's no, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Sometimes people lie to the customers, right, just to impress them and all. But being authentic pays in the long run, and it is going to establish that kind of trust with the customer. And
Yeah.
right, yeah, makes
They
sense.
know you're lying too.
Yeah.
They know you're lying if you're just wanting a sale,
Yeah.
and then they won't come back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, concur with you. And in the entrepreneurial journey, right, what are some toughest lessons that you have learned? Maybe we start with some vision, taking a plunge into entrepreneurship, but later we realize, okay, probably we would have done a better risk mitigation or risk assessment. Likewise, we tend to find out certain things which we didn't anticipate before taking that particular plunge, right?
Right. Everybody is not your friend. That's probably the biggest. I was a very, very trusting person. I still tend to be some, but I think it's caused me to be a little bit, a little suspicious of people, because people will take advantage of you if they can. Some people. I don't want to say that about everybody, but some people will. Probably the hardest lesson I've learned, because wow, you think people will do you right, but just everybody won't. And so you have to be, I think, discerning would be good. How about that? Let's say that, discerning and not suspicious, because that doesn't help you either, but discerning on, well, maybe this isn't the best case scenario. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that. And now let's talk about your experience getting trained by Maxwell. John Maxwell is the most coveted leader in the personality development and the leadership topics, right? He has written so many wonderful books and all, right? So, what is it getting trained by an eminent personality like John Maxwell?
It was really great, because the thing is, mainly on his team, they have like mentors. They call them mentors, but they're the ones that train like on speaking or coaching or whatever. So mine was mainly on the speaking end. And so Roddy Galbraith is under John Maxwell, is the one that actually trained me. But let me tell you, in 2016, I was in a place that wasn't good. And I went to John Maxwell team. That's where we learned about adding value to other people. And I tried out to be on stage the second event I went to. There's like 2 events a year. And so I went to the second event, tried out to speak on stage, and I won the right to speak on stage. And there was only 10 people out of about 2,500 of us that got to speak on stage. So it was a huge honor. If you're a speaker, 4 jumbotrons and 2,500 people is like, oh my gosh, I am so in heaven. Some people are scared to death to speak. I was like, give me the microphone. I'm so excited. And so, but Roddy honed my speech, a 3 minute, well, not a speech, it's a talk, but 3 minute story, basically, 17 times before I got on stage. I mean, I couldn't have forgotten it if I wanted to. You're thinking, what else could you put in or take out? But what it did for me was, they said this was all about adding value, adding value. And I guess I thought I was doing that. But my last line was, if you can learn to love yourself, if you can learn to laugh at yourself, you can learn to love yourself. And like, you could hear the audience go, and I walked off the stage and I was like, oh my goodness, never settle for less than that. You know what I mean? It was absolutely phenomenal that these people got it. And so for me, I've met a lot of friends of people that speak. John is like, just listening to him was amazing. The techniques that Roddy taught me, that John actually implements, it's invaluable. I just can't say it enough, and I makes me a better speaker.
Awesome. So practicing 17 times, right? That's quite intensive, but you're enjoying that, enjoying the effort that you have spent, and the final outcome must be amazing. And with that, let's move to the core of today's topic about this disc profiling, right? I think you have undergone that, Dr. Rahm of Personality Insights. And can you share briefly about this disc profiling, and how does it help somebody in terms of building great relationships with others?
Honestly, I wish I was even better at it than I am, because I have used, if you can get to know somebody on this level, it's DISC. Okay. It's dominant. I wrote it down so I wouldn't get it wrong. Dominant, influencing, steady, or compliant. A dominant person is one that we're going to get it done. An influencing person, we want to have fun at everything. Okay. But steady is like, you're more sensitive, like you're more empathetic. And if you're compliant, you're very, let's do this methodically. So you can see that, like, the let's get it done methodically, and the fun person, they might like clash because, and a lot of times those are the people that are married to each other. Okay. Or if you're dominant and you're sensitive, like, yes, you want to get it done at all cost if you're a D, but the sensitive one's like, oh yeah, but that might hurt somebody's feelings. So anyway, the point I'm making is if you can know the person in their realm, even if you're another realm, then you are going to be able to relate with them in a way that makes sense to them. Otherwise, it ends up sometimes getting entangled. So my husband and I are absolutely the opposites. Okay. And most of the time you have two traits, not just one. So like I'm a DI and I want to have fun at it. Actually, I tend to be ID. So I's, let's have fun at it and get it done. He is more like Val. There has to be a method and a routine and all of that kind of thing, right? But if I can understand that, he's not trying to ruin my fun, so to speak. But he wants it to be methodical and routine. And sometimes if he needs to see that he can break out of the routine, then let's just have a really good time. So what I'm saying is all that together says, I'm just talking about me and my husband, but you can imagine with your kids, what if they're different? What if everybody could look at it as this is the way that we need to relate. Dr. Rome himself started this because he could not relate with his daughter. And after he did this and it implemented it, they begin to have an amazing relationship. So I think that's pretty incredible because he is totally more of an I, and she definitely was like more of the, here we go, we got to do it this way. And he just couldn't see it. And so he thought she was being, what do you say, disobedient, when the truth was it was just a difference in her personality and she just couldn't understand the way he operated. So I think that's really cool about DISC too.
Yeah, I've gone through this profiling during one of my corporate leadership trainings during my stint with GE. But you have explained it so that even a layman can understand, and that's wonderful, Valerie. And moving to the next question, right? Can you talk briefly about the generations, be it from the workplace perspective or in general? Like, what's your opinion about dealing with various generations?
Well, I do think this. I have 5 kids, like I said, they're between ages of 27 and 37 right this second. So I had them all in 9.5 years. So that was kind of crazy. The thing is, what I've seen is my parents and actually my husband's parents too had a great impact on my kids, and probably more than I did, in the sense that they would listen to their grandparents for their parents. Sometimes you get in those teenage years, your parents aren't too smart and all that. Funny how your parents get smarter when you have kids, but anyway. But the thing is, I think that for me, the generation says this kind of thing. We've lost the skill to be able to relate with the different generations. And so what I like the best is this. My daughter and I have this boutique together, and she's my youngest. And she sees things totally different than the way I would have done them. But that doesn't make her wrong or bad, nor does it make the way I learned them wrong or bad. So there has to be some negotiation in that. I am a little, I would say, dismayed that sometimes the younger generation, it seems that they are wanting to do away with history, and you can't do away with history because it happened. And so even if you want to knock it, you can't. And it's not even good to, because if you don't learn from history, then you're doomed to repeat it. And so I think it's really important that we have open dialogue among generations. And I think also, and probably I'm going to ask you this question, but in India, there needs to be respect for these older people. And one thing I do think is really, really important is my mom and dad were hard workers. We were taught to be hard workers. We have instilled that in our kids. So we don't have anybody that's lazy. And nowadays it seems as if, well, if I don't want to do it and I just don't like it, we throw it off. Well, guess what? Sometimes you just have to stay in it and it'll pay off. But I think that we need to know that between generations, and we can do it in a good way.
but
it's got to be taught.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my,
yeah, it is much needed, but respecting the elder generations, right? It is slowly fading away, and especially in India, like what happens is we are taught to respect elders, like right from there is a phrase in Sanskrit which I will tell you, like Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, and Guru Devo Bhava. Like, means respect your mom, respect your dad, and respect your teacher as if they are gods, right? So likewise, everything is inbuilt in the culture, and but however, due to influence of other cultures and all, it is slowly fading away. But it is important that kids get exposure to the previous generations, and the kind of wisdom that they actually can offer, right? It is humongous. And which means, like, if you're speaking to your grandparent for an hour, it is worth reading more than 5 to 6 books, right? And all they are sharing from their own experience. That's how I feel. And unfortunately, I didn't have the luxury of enjoying with my grandparents and all, but I can totally relate to that. And this is such a beautiful topic, and thanks for covering that. And Valerie, this has been fabulous conversation, but let's add some spice to the episode. With your consent, I'm going to kick off a quick rapid fire round. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, I'm good.
So, yeah, what has been a best dream in your life so far?
Speaking to as many people about truth as possible. Biggest dream.
What is one best piece of advice that you have received so far?
Oh gosh, I had to think about love Jesus, be consistent, and add value to other people. There it is, right there. I think it's all inclusive there. How's that sound?
Wonderful. Be consistent, add value, and love Jesus. Wow. And moving to the third one, can you describe yourself in just one word other than your name?
Determined. That's what my name means too. That's it. I am determined.
Okay. And do you want to correct anything in your past?
That I regret? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
I need to listen more and apply what I learned.
Oh. Wow. Very profound. And people think or assume that they are listening, but they listen to with the intent to respond rather than listening to understand, right? That's the common trend that we see. That's great. And yeah, with that, let me move to the final question out of the rapid fire. What is one electronic gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself, Valerie?
Hey, this is what I want to see. I want to see a thing that will buckle you up in the car, like automatically, like kids' car seats, like they can say, "Hey Siri, buckle me up." And it does it in a safe way. It does it correctly, all that stuff. And so it could just whatever their weight or height or whatever, it would just do it automatically. Man, would that not make everybody's life easier? And the kids would love it. Hey Siri, buckle me up. They would love it,
Yeah. I don't think it is too far away, because we are already in the generation of autonomous cars, and a lot of development is happening in that space.
Yeah, I know. Well, we need it. Because listen, grandparents are like, "Oh my gosh, how do you get this kid in a car seat?" I don't even know,
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm pretty good at it now, though. So.
Interesting. So great rapid fire. And with that, let's flip back to the mainstream, Valerie. And one final question before I let you go. What will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers or lives?
Okay, we've gone over this, but be consistent. And, even, okay, now I'm going to say this. That seems to be the hardest thing for me. So maybe that's it. But being consistent, I've really prayed about that. Like, God, how am I consistent? Well, and he shows me the radio shows are going out every day.
Yeah.
And I've said a lot of words that weren't so great, but those are being redeemed. And I'm so happy about that. So being consistent. But here's the thing. This is how you do that. You give your best today and every day. And you have to be eager to learn, because if you stay stagnant, you're going to die. And that all of that adds up to adding value to other people, but you got to consistently think about it, because it gets hard. some days because some people are just not nice, But the thing is, you have to be the one that says, okay, if I want to make it in this, I'm going to keep going. I am going to learn how to deal even with difficult people and hang on, because it will get better. It does get better, but then it's going to get worse and then it gets better. So you have to understand that it's just ebb and flow, and it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. But hang on to those days. This would be the last thing. Hang on to those days when the girl comes in and she gets what she wants and you're so happy. Remember that you did that, because that's the thing that keeps you going. It's kind of like this. This is the analogy I give. Golf's.
Wow.
If you have a golf swing, that's bad or whatever, but you get a putt that is amazing, guess what? You go back to the golf course, and that's it. There's going to be that putt. There's going to be that one thing that's just like, wow, look at that sale I just made. Look at that person. They're so happy because of what I said or did. And you can tell I just get excited about that, because I just think to myself, man, even today, you know what that's going to do for me today? That is going to fire me up to get started today. I'm so excited. So there you go. How's that sound?
Awesome. It's simply fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the wonderful insights, and thank you so much for your time, Valerie. Really appreciate it, and I'm sure it's going to inspire our audience.
Oh my gosh, this has been fun. Thank you.
All right. So pleasure to host you, Valerie. And folks, before we move into the trivia section, here is a request to you. In case if you haven't subscribed to us already, please subscribe from the app where you have tuned in from. Also, if you have loved this episode and enjoyed the conversation, I request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. All right. Thank you so much in advance. Now let's hop into the trivia segment of today's episode. So today we had some wonderful conversation with Valerie on entrepreneurship, disc profiling, and dealing with various generations, etc. I thought I would speak a bit about relationship between leadership, having a positive attitude, and also displaying gratitude. Leaders with a positive attitude and gratitude, they start and finish every day with a positive attitude. And cultivating gratitude will actually greatly improve your mood and also influence others, because attitude is actually a discipline. And we often come across this phrase which says, I hired him for attitude but not for his skills. That's how attitude is becoming more and more important in today's workplace settings and even in business settings. And my recommendation here is based on researching a couple of sites and all. What successful leaders with great attitude do is they smile at the first 5 people that you see every day. Of course, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be smiling at the 6th person and 7th person. You have to do that. Smile at every person that you come across. At night, write down what are the positive things that you experienced about that particular day, and at least do it for 5 times. Means 5 positive things that have happened. And there is some significance with this number 5, because 5 times seems doable to start a good habit, and it also creates a positive mindset. And one good thing about smiling is whenever we smile, the smile releases chemicals that positively change our physiology and thereby influencing and affecting our mood for the rest of the day. Likewise, smiling has tons of benefits, and smile is one inexpensive way and inexpensive gift that we can offer to somebody and change their mood for the rest of the day. So keep smiling and carry that positive attitude. So likewise, if you have any additional tips related to being a positive leader, do share your tips through social media or email me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. And in addition to that, if you have any topic recommendations or speaker suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. Thank you so much in advance. And friends, I'm your host Naveen Samala, just a fellow IT professional on a mission to shape the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Until next time, bye-bye, signing off for today. See you all in the next one.